The Democratic establishment, including media outlets like CNN and MSNBC, kind of want you to believe that the Democratic voters want somebody who is centrist, somebody who is pragmatic and safe, someone like a Joe Biden or something like that, right? Or even a John Hickenlooper, right? Now, John Hickenlooper, it's kind of a funny story. He is polling at about 0% right now. And yet, for some reason, there are segments on CNN and MSNBC and anchors talking about how, John Hickenlooper, real contender for 2020. Most people don't know who John Hickenlooper is, unless you live in Colorado. And in that case, most likely you have nicknamed him John Frackenlooper. But anyway, enough about John. Let's go to CNN, where they put a panel of former Hillary Clinton voters. These are people that voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and they asked them a bunch of questions. And guess what? It did not turn out quite the way they expected. Watch.
To be pragmatic and more centrist. Show of hands. Two of you feel that way. How many people believe that the winning formula would be for a Democrat to be pragmatic and more centrist? Show of hands. Two of you feel that way. How many of you feel that the time is right for a progressive and that's what would win? Carol?
We're ready for progressive candidates. They've won all over the country. And I think we need bold, strong leadership. And you'll find that in the progressives.
I think that we had the standard bearer for the kind of pragmatic centrist candidate in Hillary Clinton in 2016, and Donald Trump is now the president. He is not your average political candidate. So we really need to try to think outside the box because, it seems like the dude is made of rubber. Like anything you throw at him just bounces off. I mean, there's nothing that sticks.
Wow. This is what we've been saying all along. Democratic voters are progressive. Democratic voters, look, the reason that they went with Hillary Clinton, a centrist, safe, pragmatic candidate, is because all the media was telling them, hey, you need to have a centrist, safe, pragmatic candidate in order to beat Republicans. You can't have some wild-eyed leftist, right? You can't have somebody like Bernie Sanders running in this race because he will lose against Donald Trump. You have got to go down the center to appeal to the centrists, right? Well, no. That guy rightly pointed out how, yeah, we did that. And guess what? Donald Trump won. He won the election. Look, progressives are the only thing that can beat Donald Trump. And look, I was saying that during the election. Maybe it's probably different now because Trump has been such a disaster. But again, progressives, I think, are the best chance for stopping people like Donald Trump. I mean, Hickenlooper? Come on. Klobuchar? No way. They've got no chance in this election. No chance at all. Now, they continue, right? So, you know who else this panel doesn't want? Joe Biden. Watch.
How many of you would like to see Joe Biden get in? Show of hands. What's happening, Russell?
His time is done.
I'll be honest. I used to think because obviously he was riding like kind of the Obama wave, and I thought he was the person that would unite the party. But to be honest, Senator Biden really comes from the good old boy politics of the past.
I don't think Joe Biden represents that new thing that we need. We need a new economy. We need a new politics, and we need someone different.
I'm sorry. That's awesome. I love her reaction, Camerota. What is happening right now? What? No, you don't want Joe Biden, but we love Joe Biden. What about Uncle Joe? And these guys are saying, no, we don't want Joe Biden. He's part of the old school. He's part of the good old boys club. We don't want anyone like that. We are not interested. And here's the thing, right? So Joe Biden, right now among Democratic voters, is actually, depending on which poll you look at, is either ahead or just behind Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders is either number one or number two among Democrats, and a lot of that, of course, is because he's progressive, he's bold, but also, let's be honest, name recognition is really, really important for him. That's something that he did not have. And he also has the advantage of having an enormous grassroots army. He's got 1 million volunteers, and he's been raising tons and tons of money from grassroots followers. And so he's actually got a lot of the advantages of a front runner, and therefore should be considered the front runner. But of course, the establishment is surprised. They don't want to let go of 2016. And so there were Democrats on this very panel that were not quite in favor of Bernie Sanders. One of them was, and he said something like, look, we could go with the safe choice of Bernie Sanders because he's got an army behind him and he's got a machine that is different than the Democratic Party machine. And so he can reach out to people who necessarily were not Democrats. And then, of course, there were others that said, well, he's too much of a divider. And those are the people that are unfortunately falling for the establishment propaganda put out by people like Tom Watson and, some of the bitter Clinton staffers, Zach Buchanan, and et cetera. Now, here's the other thing, right? That said, some of the panel members like Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris, she adopted Medicare for all. She kind of adopted Medicare for all. Let's be fair about that. Let's be honest here, right? But a lot of the policies that some of the Democratic Party candidates are running on are adopted from Bernie Sanders in his 2016 run. So let's be honest about that. And by the way, that brings me to the issues that this panel says that they care about. And you're going to see that some of these issues, or all of these issues, are actually incredibly important and have been addressed by progressives. Watch.
What will you be voting on in 2020 if the election were held today? Mary, what's your big issue that you feel you would vote on?
My big issue truly is about climate change. I think because it touches everyone, and it touches jobs, and it touches our future. And we cannot have a conversation about politics without considering what we are doing to the planet.
And I mean, you see people freaking out over the wall and these migrants coming up from Central and South America. I mean, that's going to be like nothing compared to the migration we will see as climate change really starts to affect the sea level rise. I mean, the ice is melting fast.
My big issue is the global world order. I mean, we have a president who has humiliated the United States on the global stage by cozying up to dictators, by falling in love with the leader of North Korea, by having a relationship with Russia that makes him giddy and excited.
I echo all the sentiments on climate change. I also am going to be looking for a candidate that's going to take on sensible gun regulation. That's a big one for me. That's maybe the biggest one for me.
I think overall, like whoever I support, they have to be for Medicare for all. It's hurting so many people. It's something Democrats have worked on since FDR, and we absolutely need to have that. Healthcare just needs to be a human right.
So a lot of important issues there. That's what Democrats are looking at. That's what they want. Action on climate change to restore, I guess, the good name of America overseas. And of course, Medicare for all. So of course, now these are things that progressives, we have plans on. For example, the Green New Deal just released, AOC, right? That is a proposal that has been put forward by AOC that they are working on putting into a piece of legislation. That is bold. You also have Medicare for All, just released by House Democrats, Pramila Jayapal, reintroducing it into the House, and it's the most comprehensive Medicare for All bill ever put forward. It's policy. It's good policy, right? And look, you can point out that, oh, maybe you don't like Bernie Sanders because you think he's a divider, as a couple did on the panel, right? And look, let's be honest, a lot of that is due to the establishment trying to create a false manufactured narrative to take away support from Senator Sanders. That's former Clinton staffers that are attacking Sanders constantly and putting out lies, right? But the real issue here is the fact that we're talking about issues, right? And a lot of these a lot of these progressives' ideas have been adopted by all these other candidates. Now, I trust Bernie Sanders. Why is that? It's because he's been walking the walk for decades. He's not a Johnny-come-lately. He's not somebody who just picked it up because it is, oh, now it's popular. No, he was out railing for Medicare for all and free college back when it was deeply unpopular, when nobody cared about it, when nobody talked about it. That gives him credibility. Kamala Harris, I don't know Kamala Harris. I don't know what she had been fighting for. I've never seen her out there talking about Medicare for all until now. So that makes me quite a bit wary, right? Cory Booker, same thing. He's never talked about that stuff before. A lot of these candidates, I don't know them, I don't trust them, and I'm afraid what they're going to do is if they get elected, they're going to drop these issues, and we're going to end up having Obama redux. Now, that said, I like Obama. He was a decent president, but he is not a progressive and did not actually work to get these good policies. Now, that said, I'm going to leave you with one last video here, and that is what they thought about Hillary Clinton. Take a look.
All of you ended up being Hillary voters. So does Hillary have a role in 2020? Should she campaign
No,
for?
stay away.
Why is that?
I love you, Hillary. I love you. But stay away. We are so divided right now that anything that has Hillary on it is automatically going to separate us again.
I just think her time is done. I think it's done. We do need something new.
Done. Stay away, Hillary. Wow. Look, I bet that was unexpected. At least on that, right? Clinton voters, right? No, look, again, in Washington, they think centrism is awesome, and it turns out that the voters do not agree. And as far as Hillary is concerned, look, I think everybody at this point knows that she needs to stay away. She is somehow, amazingly, still less popular than Donald Trump. How is that even possible? I have no idea. But look, let's be happy that at least now they're starting to get it, right? And look, all I care about is getting the right kind of policy, right? And so, look, I want to push for progressive policies. I want to push for progressive candidates. And if these guys are actually interested in doing that, then that's great. Because you know what? That means our ideas are winning. And then our candidates who embody those ideas are going to win too. And that's great. Now, whether or not the DNC, the establishment, CNN, or the Democratic consultants and the overpaid strategists, whether or not they get it, I don't know. That is a much, much harder question to answer. But I hope they do. And I hope we continue to run progressives and to get progressive policy. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.